find a mentor in there or reach out and find a mentor, because it's never as bad as the fear response makes it out to be.
100%.
Today I have with me Yasmin. She is the founder of Cacao Collective.
I'm like, I don't have a lot of time to wait. Like, I can't keep paying these sorts of costs. We're losing money. You were like, you're going to have conversations that aren't good. You're not going to enjoy it. Your ego's definitely not going to enjoy it. But you're going to have to if you want to survive this.
Welcome to Unmasked Founders with Lezly Kaye. This is the podcast that goes beyond the highlight reel of entrepreneurship. Instead of focusing on the accolades and achievements, this show explores the real moments that shape founders, the challenges, the breakthroughs, and the lessons that transform both the business and the human behind it. Hosted by me, Lezly Kaye, an entrepreneur who has built empires and discovered the cost of success. Unmasked Founders is a space for honest conversations about growth, resilience, and staying true to who you are. Whether listeners are just starting out or scaling to the next level, this is where real stories are told. Welcome to Unmasked Founders, a conversation with me, Lezly Kaye.
Welcome to Unmasked Founders, the stories behind what it really takes to build big in business. Today I have with me Yasmin. She is the founder of Cacao Collective, and we've actually done some work together in the past. So I'm so excited to hear some behind the scenes of what it's taken Yas to build not just a 7-figure company, but a multi-7-figure company, and to bring you some stories that maybe haven't made the highlight reels. Thanks for being with me, Yas.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Me too. Well, I'm going to try keep us on track, but I can't make any promises.
Neither can I, Lezly.
Let's start with a little bit about you, a little bit about Cacao Collective. They are our podcast sponsors, so if you are listening, there will be a code in the show notes. But talk to me about where you are now, and then we'll dive into what it's taken to get here.
Okay, so where I am now, we recently just did our first $3 million in revenue. Yep. I don't know if people share that, but I'm going to share it.
Yeah, and you should.
Most people don't share the actual number. They say multi-7 figures, but I'll just tell you the number.
Yes.
And yeah, to be honest, at the start of this year, I didn't think I would even be in business to this point. So, and we've talked about that. I'm sure we'll unpack that.
Yeah.
But at the start of this year, I didn't even think I would have a business to talk about. So I'm super grateful to be here, and so grateful that despite the challenges and the journey that it's been, that we're still here and we're still floating. We're going from strength now, which is amazing.
I love that. And I feel that you're going to be very comfortable to go to some of these deeper questions. I think let's start with, take us to the moment when you thought that you had to quit basically, or you had to give up. My intention is to help those that might be in a season of struggle to be like, oh, this is normal and I can survive this because other people have too. So drop us into what was happening and what you were feeling and thinking.
Okay, let's go there. I definitely agree though. I think that's one thing I struggled with most when I was going through the biggest challenge and season, hardest season of business recently. It was like no one talks about this, so you feel so alone and like, oh my God, I'm the only one that's going through this, and I'm the only one. You feel like a failure. You feel like all of these things, and obviously I spoke to you about it, and I was so grateful because obviously you shared your business challenges and stories with me, and I was like, oh wow, okay, it's not that bad then. So going back to really last year, because that's where it all started to unfold and unravel in a really serious way. I had just had my first child, so that's a big challenge in itself. I remember, and I don't recommend this, but because you're a business owner and, you don't have the luxury of necessarily taking a full postpartum, what do they call it? Sorry,
maternity leave.
Yeah, you don't get maternity leave. I mean, you could take it, and I honestly, in hindsight, didn't even really think about it and consider it. I was so in it for so long and just thought having a baby would be, a bit of a challenge, but nothing would really change that much, which is so naive now that I think about it. But that's what we do before we've had a kid.
Truly.
So I'd not really taken proper precautions of how much time I wanted off, what I wanted the business to look like. I didn't even really fathom that things would slow down or be different. So I just kept going at 100 miles an hour when I was pregnant. I started formulating new products and like thinking about what was next. And which is, you know, the problem is when you've got a lot of estrogen going through your body, growing a baby, you also get very creative and you're like, I want to do heaps of ideas.
Yes.
I've told my new partner at the moment, if I get to a point when I'm pregnant, you have to shut down every idea I have because honestly, I'm not going to cope when I have the baby. And it's true.
Now you know.
Yeah, you know. So I had all these ideas and I was executing all these things. When it got close to actually having my child, which October 2023, things in the cacao industry started to change. So it was already changing. Like we went from like the price, to put it in perspective, has doubled over the last 5 years.
Wow.
I started 5 years ago, this business selling cacao, and over that 5-year period, it has doubled. It is now more than double. But it was kind of an incremental increase over the years, so it never felt too big. We could always kind of match it with a price increase. It was never really that drastic. When we got to 2024, which is just after I had my daughter, the price rapidly increased. So we're talking like a $10 increase in a matter of months. And I was not prepared for that kind of increase. It's something I had on my SWOT analysis, which is, you know, that like thing that you do when you begin a business. You're like, what are the potential
And
threats?
you never look at it again.
And then you think, yeah, that could, a potential threat could be my industry absolutely shitting the bed, but you never think it's going to. Sorry if I said that. And we're not swearing on this podcast.
No, we swear, don't worry. It's called Unmasked.
Yeah,
so like the
perfect.
whole point is unfiltered, raw, swear, cry, everything's welcome here. The whole point is the authenticity of what wants to come through you.
Yeah, like honestly, I was not prepared for that particular threat to happen. And so when my supplier called me and was like, by next month, we have to increase price by $10 per kilo, I'm thinking, where the F am I going to find that $10? Like, yeah, okay, I can price rise. I'll do that. But I don't think this is the last time this price is going to raise. Like, let's think about it. Over 2 years, there was a problem with the produce, so the harvests weren't producing enough fruit. Globally, there was a supply crisis.
Wow.
The demand was going through the roof. The chocolate industry is growing rapidly every year. So it's like a $7 trillion industry and it's growing. And the suppliers or the farmers can't produce enough fruit. And the problem is because of natural disasters, and the problem is a lot of the farms aren't rotating their crops. So there's an issue with producing fruit because the soils aren't good enough, essentially. So there's all these issues going on across the globe, particularly in West Africa. So that was where it kind of came from. It put enormous pressure on where we get our supply, which is Peru. So there's this whole, you know, farming crisis happening, and then we're getting hit with the first raise. And I know, like, just deep in me, I'm like, this isn't the last time this price is increasing. And if I make changes just thinking it is, I'm going to lose this. So then it started the conversation of, how do we get the price down? Can we get the price down? Can we find a different supplier? No, every supplier is the same. Every price is the same. You can't get that down. I'm thinking, how much do I need to order to get this price down? No, you can't. There is no amount you can order to get the price down. Okay. So that's a dead end. So then I'm thinking, I need to negotiate new prices with my manufacturers and my 3PL, my logistics companies. Having those conversations, and I don't think we discuss this enough, being a woman in a very male-dominated industry, which is like warehousing and logistics and all of that sort of thing, having those types of conversations with men is a very different experience. And I know people say, oh, you know, there's more equality. Yeah, there is. But there is a different type of energy that comes from a woman saying it versus a man. And that's something I would love to see change more. But there is something, like, I noticed it, and this was really interesting to me, is when I go to the warehouse and I meet with the logistics company and the main guys, I get a very different treatment to when I go with a bunch of dudes who are like invested in my business. It's like you can't not see that, you know? And so prior to that experience, when I had to negotiate these difference in prices, I realized that if I wasn't cutthroat enough with these conversations, they weren't going to move.
Yeah.
Because like, cute, we can just say no. You know, if I'm like, oh, please, can you change the prices for me? They're like, no. So I had to literally put on my big girl pants, get some sort of like aggression in me and go, and this was complete, like, not a bluff, but complete on a whim. If you guys don't reduce the prices, I'm leaving. Yes. And I knew at that point I'm one of your biggest customers. I've been here the longest. I know I matter to your business,
Yes.
but we need to know how much I matter now, because I'm going to like basically put it on you and say, if you don't change this, I'm leaving.
Yes.
And so they came back to me and said, oh, we can shift the price by like $1.50. And I was like, oh, I need $6 shaved off. So $1.50 is not going to work. And they're like, oh, okay. We don't know what else we can do. I said, I don't know then. So I said, I guess I've got to start moving forward. So then I started to look at getting a warehouse and start that journey, as we've also This is where the plot thickens and gets worse. So then I'm like, right, well, I have to get my own warehouse. I'm going to have to start production there. I can shave off a whole heap of money. But the like sheer load of work that takes is like, I was not prepared for that either. Like I was like, I've just had a baby. Now I have to do a warehouse. Now I have to find a team to run it. Like just so many things. I have to find the machinery. The machinery is almost the easy bit.
Yeah.
So I've got myself into this lease thinking, great, I've got a warehouse. It's a good price. We can do this. And like the month after I get this warehouse, my logistics company come back and go, hey, we can meet your $6 now. I'm like, okay. And they go, yeah, we've decided we can get a machine for you, cut the cost of our labor, and then we can cut your costs.
Yes.
And I was like, oh God, okay.
Timing.
And I'm like, I've got to get rid of this warehouse somehow. And because I think of where I'm at, I've got a baby, like there's just so many moving parts going on. I'm like, the easiest path for me right now is realistically to take that new deal and just get rid of the warehouse, because trying to undertake that sort of project, if I had to, I could. It's just an enormous thing. I'm like, I'm not equipped emotionally, mentally, physically for this journey yet.
Truly.
So I was like, okay, I'll get rid of the warehouse. I said to them, how long are you going to take to get this new machine? Like I need a short timeline. I don't have a lot of time to wait. Like I can't keep paying these sorts of costs. We're losing money. They're like 8 weeks max. Okay, cool. Naively, I believed that. So in the midst of all this, I'm like still running the business, still doing everything. I guess at that point, the things that were going on in my personal life started to affect how I was operating the business. I was going through like a very rocky time with my partner and the father of my child. We ended up separating through that journey as well. And so going through personal struggle, having just had a baby, your hormones are everywhere, you're going through a separation, and then you're going through business turmoil. It just feels like way too much.
Really.
And so I had no ability to even see straight. I was just like not really making good decisions, not even thinking I needed to make it. Like I was just flying kind of blind and just thinking everything's going to work out. I don't want to look at it. Like I want to bury my head in the sand. So I tried the process of getting the warehouse taken over. That took like 6 months, which shouldn't have, but it did. And in this time frame, like the logistics guys are like, oh, there's delays. So we had 6 months of delays with the machinery, which meant, and I said to them, can we at least start part of this new contract? Like I can't keep paying all of these things. Nah, we're not going to start it till the machine's here. I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus, how am I going to get through this? So by the time October came around, which was that same year, so we started at the beginning of the year having these problems. It was October, like 8 months too late, 10 months too late. That's when things started to feel like they were falling like completely to a halt. We couldn't, like we were struggling to scale the business. We were struggling to just make ends meet with the business. Like we were just not profitable at all. We went from having like 20% net profit to 10% net profit. It's just not enough to run a company or like fuel it. And so that's when I started to hit like that crisis point and just go, oh my God, I think I'm going to lose this business. I don't know how I'm going to do this. And at that point, I don't think I realized, but the impact it had on my mental health, my belief in myself just got completely shot. I used to be so, like my self-belief was so high. And at this point I just thought, I'm such a failure. I don't know how to run this. I don't even know what to do in business. I'm not a business owner. I'm just this like chick who's like made it work and like lucked out a bit. And now I'm like absolutely in under my head. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. And so I was like beautiful, like divine timing would have it. Connected with a friend of mine who said, Lezly like is doing this VA thing for me. You should totally get a VA. And I'm thinking, yeah, I need to cut some costs with staff. That'd be a good idea right now. And when I got on the call with you, then we started to kind of talk about the fact that everything was going absolutely downhill. I still to this day just remember like one of the conversations we had where you just said to me like, at some point you got to like I'm going to paraphrase here, but like at some point you've got to stop beating yourself up for the mistakes you've made in the way that you've got here, and you're going to have to start believing in yourself like a CEO and actually be a CEO, because you just beating yourself up and like ruminating over these problems, it's like not going to help you. And you were so right, because I was like just not acting like a CEO. I was like the employee of my own business being like, oh, I don't know what to do.
Someone help me fix this.
Fix
There's some important things you touched on there. And the reason that I do what I do and not just the agency and the coaching is so many people look at the business and not the woman underneath it. And I think one of the things that gave you hope was I've closed a business with a $3 million ATO debt and nobody gave a fuck. Like the ATO didn't care. The industry didn't even really care. When it first happened, I was like, oh my God, no one's ever going to trust me to do business again. And what's going to happen to my reputation? And I was in the newspaper at the time. I'm like, oh my God, my life's over. 3 months later, no one talked about it. No, not even anyone realized unless I told them. So having that experience really helped me to be like, Yaz, I promise you're not going to die.
Yep.
I needed that. Here, I promise you. And part of the reason for this podcast, like we said, I don't think people talk to what it really takes and the toll it has on the human and the woman specifically. I think especially as mothers, especially when we have relationships that aren't working or partners that aren't supporting us, and just the additional load that I feel women hold. Love men, advocate for men, but I do feel that especially mothers hold a lot more in business than fathers, generally speaking. So, yeah, I wanted to touch on this, like looking at the woman underneath the business part, because I feel like, and to your point at the beginning, it's like no one could see it and no one knew and you didn't know who to speak to or who to reach out to or what to even do. Would you say, like if we were to talk about a mask, would you say shame was one of the masks that was like stopping you from actually getting help? Like, fuck, if anyone knows what's really going underneath the hood here, they'll like shut me down or tell me I'm a loser or
Oh, 100%. You also have people from the outside going, you're killing it, look at how well you're doing, and you're thinking, if anyone fucking knew what I was doing right now and what this was look like from the inside, like I think of it like, you know, when you have an embroidered shirt, on the outside looks really fucking great, but when you look on the inside, there's just like cross-stitching going fucking everywhere. That was the inside of the business. It was just an absolute mess. Yeah, to my surprise, I guess, you do all this work on yourself. Business is such a growth journey in itself. You never expect that when you do go through crises, like real crises, not just the problems that are hard. Like I've been through so many different business problems and this was definitely the hardest. And it made everything else that I thought was a problem look like so minute. I was like, oh my God. You don't think you're going to handle it the way you do. Like I heard it on a podcast with Brene Brown recently where she's like, your like automatic mechanism for protection when you feel shame or fear is like who you become in those moments to like get through it. And the person I become in those moments, especially then, was like you feel so much shame. So you keep everyone out because you don't want anyone to see. Truly. And my mechanism for dealing with that is push everyone away. Yeah. Carry more by yourself, which is like a terrible strategy. It's the worst strategy in the world. And just save face. Like, yeah, you just like, I'll get through this. No one needs to know. And, you know, I don't need to be vulnerable. Yeah. Because if I'm vulnerable, yeah, everyone's going to find out. They're going to think I'm a fraud. They're going to think I'm a failure. Like, you know, you just have all these like unreasonable stories going on. And you just go, oh my God, I can't do anything. You just feel frozen. And I remember there's so many times where you kept going, reach out to me, like let me in. And I was like, I can't, I can't. You know, I could. And I did in the end.
You did in the end.
I did in the end because I was by force, which was a great lesson in a way. I realized though, if I don't have these conversations with people and let people in, even like my logistics company in the end, I had to have a conversation with them and say, I can't pay you.
Truly.
And you were like, you're going to have conversations that aren't good. You're not going to enjoy it. Your ego is definitely not going to enjoy it. But you're going to have to if you want to survive this. And it made me lean into a level of vulnerability I didn't ever know. Like I thought motherhood was vulnerable. I thought giving birth was vulnerable. Wait till you have to have a conversation with people and say, I can't pay your like large tens of thousands of dollar invoice. Like I'm not paying it. I can't pay it. And if you want my business moving forward and you want me to survive and we have a great life together moving forward as like business partners, you're going to have to like back me here. That is a level of vulnerable I was like not prepared for. And it's weird saying that felt more vulnerable than having a baby.
I think though as well, like having a baby is so socially acceptable. I think the shame piece and the fear piece of like, fuck, I have $1 million business that I'm failing in. Clearly weren't failing because you turned it around in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Based on the self-responsibility of these conversations.
Yeah.
So I just want to touch to this because I think a few things like pots of gold for those listening. It's like fucking speak to someone, whether it's a coach or a mentor or someone, like get into a networking group and find a mentor in there, or reach out and find a mentor, because it's never as bad as the fear response makes it out to be.
100%.
Because when we're having conversations, I remember a lot of the time I was like, yeah, this isn't actually that bad.
And it wasn't actually that bad. Like I look back now and I'm like, it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
So it's like the compound effect of everything that's going on in your life.
Yeah.
And I akin business now to it's just a series of relationships. So you build a relationship with me, so you started to trust me, so you let me in. You then had to build true relationships with your supply chain so you could support each other to grow. Because to your point, if you had have folded back then, they would have lost their best customer. And this is when I was saying it's like people will support you more than you realize because it does impact their business too.
100%.
Yeah, I actually want to touch on your point when you said men get treated differently to women, because you kind of got to the point that I would make is that it's the posturing and the positioning. So I think I grew up with men and my uncles and my brothers and very high T trauma, so it wasn't the greatest environment. But because of that, there's a level of I want to say masking actually, which sometimes you need it in business. I try to be as authentic as possible, but I will what I call posturing. So I will posture myself as the like boss babe, don't fuck with me if I feel like the man on the other end of the conversation is only going to respond to that version of me.
Yeah.
And I think especially for women, it's like, especially if you're authentic and genuine and you just want to be met with not even softness, it's like met with authenticity and understanding, it can be hard to be like, well, I am going to like demand my respect here, but it's needed. And one of the biggest things I actually find for women in business is so many women are owed money because they're too afraid to put in place boundaries and have really firm conversations and say, I'm actually going to lodge this, with small claims court if you don't progress.
100%.
And it can be so uncomfortable. So, just to that point before, it's like, unfortunately, there is some people that don't have any emotional intelligence that probably aren't conscious beings and will probably like a dick swinging contest is what I wanted to say. I was going to try to keep it
gender
peace.
bias. Hey, it's just like, I'm going to take it more serious if you're a dude. But since you're a woman.
I actually think it's less about gender and more about energetic posturing.
I agree.
It's like and you have to be really careful because some men, if you come in with like, boss babe, I'm better than you, they will actually treat you worse because you hurt their ego. Yeah. So it's
you have to know.
You have to know.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, just get a guy to come with you. But if you do know, and I always let the man do the talking. I'm like, let them talk, and then I from there figure out the type of personality that I'm dealing with and I'll adjust accordingly, which is unfortunate because I'm the type of person in business where I want to be the most genuine, authentic version of me. Yeah. But sometimes you just have to do what needs to be done to get the result.
Completely. And to your point about like the boundaries and the harder conversations, if I really reflect and I think about now as well, upon reflection, I didn't have those conversations early enough. There was a lot of stuff I was paying for that I could have negotiated and I didn't because I didn't have those conversations.
I think one of the things I was like, why haven't we done this already?
I haven't even negotiated. I've been working with these people for 4 years. I've never negotiated a new price. Like I didn't even know that was a thing. And then now like going through, and I think that's one thing, like if you're going through a season of business that's tough, just know that what that season's going to teach you is something that you can't get from the good stages.
Truly.
And it has taught me how to have better, harder conversations early, have better boundaries.
Yes.
Like not be demanding, but demand what I know is fair
and reasonable. Yeah.
And reasonable.
I'm the same, yeah.
Especially from the contractors and businesses I work with. And it actually made me wake up and go, is everyone that I'm paying doing their effing job?
Literally.
Or who's just actually getting paid and doing sweet FA and like enjoying the ride and like giving me what I need in fluff and words, but not actually delivering an ROI on what I'm spending. So I had to also have further conversations with more of the people I was working with. And some of it was sad. Like some of it was, with people I've been working with for a long time. And it was like as soon as I had that hard conversation, it's like, peace out. Basically cut off, nothing, because now you're not paying me and now you called me out for not actually delivering.
Well, you've got boundaries.
That's a you problem. That's a you problem now. Oh, okay, no worries. Sorry, that's a me problem.
Yeah. I don't want to work with someone that's got boundaries, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I can't take the piss anymore, so I'll just get angry at you. It's your problem. So that was really interesting to realize, like I started to realize I needed to be firmer, and that helped me become a better leader. Like even with my staff, it was like, hang on a sec, why am I doing all these things? Give the people that work with me that autonomy. Like start offloading, but direct. Like you're a director, start directing.
Truly.
You know what I mean? So I think it got to this point where I was like, it's like swim or sink and I just have to like actually become a CEO now. Otherwise I'm not going to make it through this. And that would be such a shame.
Such a shame. I think
would have been such a shame. I look back at the problem now, I'm like, even now I'm thinking that actually wasn't that bad. But because it was the biggest problem I had faced in that journey, I was like, what's the biggest problem you've ever faced? You're like, well, that's huge.
Yeah. And your body and nervous system goes into complete fear and lack and, oh my God, I'm going to die, when
so much.
I think it was like a couple of conversations and you're like, oh, things are turning around now. And I'm like, yeah, you just needed someone to pull you through this part where you'd lost belief in yourself.
Yeah.
I would love to know, because I really think this piece of like founder to CEO is huge. And again, specifically for women in business, unfortunately, we're taught less about boundaries. And actually, I'm going to say that for everyone, boundaries and actually just claiming what you're worth and not being a pushover or a people pleaser in business. You actually can't be if you want to survive in business. What were some of the tools, things besides like talk therapy, I guess, with me? What were some of how did you transition yourself from like, I'm a founder and everything feels like shit to I'm reclaiming my power? And it, honestly, watching you now, I'm like a proud mum sometimes. I'm like, oh yes, like full turnaround, like to imagine where you were a year ago of like launching new brands, launching new ventures for yourself. So what, if someone's listening like, yes, this is me. I have had hard moments. I don't know if I can keep going. What's something that you can share to sort of help them know that it's possible?
One of the biggest things I started doing was like that sort of future pacing of who I was going to be in 6 months, because I was in the thick of it and I was like, I can keep dwelling on where I am and being upset about it and like a victim of it basically and just getting swallowed by it. Or I can start to go, who am I going to be next? And who am I going to be in spite of what I've been through in this season of hard? And so I started like, it sounds so cliche, but it was like, honestly, when you're at the absolute rock bottom of your own life in every area, like every area felt absolutely fucked. You just like, I'm going to literally do everything. I did like a 25-day juice fast. I started making commitments that I hadn't been following through on. Like, you underestimate the power of building confidence in yourself by small commitments you keep. Like it's the little things. I think people hope that it would be some big epiphany and it's just not.
Yes.
It's like little everyday incremental things that I just started to do because I was like, well, what's the alternative?
Yes.
So it was like discipline was a big like driving force to like rebuild my self-trust, rebuild my confidence. I did a 25-day juice fast because I was like, it's already shit here. Why not do a juice fast? Like, who cares about food at this point? It's fucking terrible. So like doing that, and then through the process of even just doing that, I was like, man, I'm actually pretty capable. I'm actually pretty strong. Like I'm equipped. And then it was like doing daily walks, doing things that made me happy. I was like, just because I'm going through something challenging, it's not a time to give up on yourself completely. I think that's what shifted, was like, you don't get to give up on yourself just because you're having a challenge. I wanted to like give up and like almost self-punish more.
Truly, I was just going to say there's like this vein of like I don't deserve happiness or success.
Yeah, so I'm just going to like make it worse and just like go all in on like suffering.
Go all in on I don't like the word it's like self-protection. Yeah. Like go all in on destroying my life because I'm halfway there.
I could have just gone out drinking. I could have eaten like shit. I could have just done that. Like I honestly could have just sat in it. And instead I was like, right, well, what can I control? What's going to make me happy right now? I'm going to go on daily walks in the sunshine along the coast, like very small, made me happy in the moment. So I did it without fail every day. Like it was a non-negotiable. I started to journal and read this statement every day of, in 6 months from now, I'm going to be here. And it was this vision of where I was going to be, how it was going to feel, what I was looking like, what my
Yes.
business felt like, how it was going. Like I was just so invested on that. And I was like, instead of ruminating on my problems, instead of ruminating on what my ex is doing, instead of ruminating on like how shit this is, I'm going to ruminate on where I'm going.
Yes.
Because again, what's the alternative? Like, well, I just start ruminating about all the shit things and just feel worse and like depressed.
Yes.
Because honestly, there were dark times. Like I was like, there was one point I was like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah. Can we, if you're comfortable, touch on that? Because I think for me, I talk about business actually isn't hard. It's the resilience to keep going. And I've had many moments where like I've spent a day crying, like, why do I want to be an entrepreneur again?
Yeah.
Can I make this work?
Yeah.
And then I want to touch on this trust piece because I think that's big. But yeah, talk to me about the moments where you were like, fuck the business. I don't even know if I can keep going with life.
Yeah. There was some pretty dark times. I remember being like, I just moved out of the family home. We'd just separated. I was in the very thick of it. I think it was maybe before I'd even talked to you. And there were dark times calling my best friend being like, I don't think I can actually do this. Like not just business, this life feels way too much. Like I don't think I can do this. And she was like, I know this is a really hard time for you, but you're going to have to do it. And I think it just got to this point where I was like, you go through these emotions, you go through these feelings of like, honestly just being like, if I just jumped off a balcony, like it would be better. It's dark. But then I remember waking up and being like, it's like there's this weird part of me that came over me that was like, you're not fucking doing that. So you're going to have to pull your shit together now. Like you're going to have to grow the fuck up and be an adult. You got a child. Like what, you're going to leave her?
Literally.
Like fuck up her life just because you're in a hard spot?
Just because
that doesn't seem reasonable. Like I had to almost start reframing my experience and going, I had this one conversation that changed a lot for me with a really good friend of mine. I was crying on the phone to him, talking about the separation, how hard it was being a single mom. Like I'd faced all these fears that I had never wanted to be a single mom. Absolute fear, like phobia maybe even. I was like, I never want to do that. Like I watched my mum go through it. It was terrible for her. I was like, I'm never doing that. And I went through it and I was like, fuck, you know, like this is the one thing I hope not to have, you know. God,
your brain
on,
doesn't hear don't. It just
anything but this. And
needed to alchemize it.
100%. And he just said to me, I will never forget this conversation. Like I've had a few life-changing conversations with people. Like I'm so blessed to have these sorts of people in my life, even including yourself, where he said, Yaz, I get that it's shit, but unfortunately you're going to have to accept it now. Like no more ruminating, no more dwelling on the fact that it's hard. Yeah, I get it, it's hard. But this is your life and you're going to have to accept it. And you're going to have to find a line in the sand and step over it. He's like, because this stuff, it's not going to get you where you want to go. I was like thinking in my head, like, fuck you.
Literally. And I love you.
Who the hell says that to a friend in need? Because you want coddling.
Yeah.
In those moments, you like that little part of you that's like a very soft, squishy victim.
The little girl, yeah.
She wants to be like coddled.
Daddy,
and,
save me, please.
It's going to be okay. And let me stroke your hair and it's going to be fine. That's what I wanted, but it's not what I needed. Yeah, truthfully, I just needed to actually like pull it together and go, you're not giving up. You're going to accept this now. Like this is your life. It is what it is. Like it literally, like you can't change it. Nothing's changing this. Like here you are. So when I started to have that conversation with myself and go, this is your life, get used to it. How can you make it good? I think that's when things started to change because I was just in so much resistance. I was like, I don't want this and I don't want this life and I don't want – and I think that's what causes a lot of like depression is like
truly
you just focus on what you don't want and why you don't want it and how shit it is and why it shouldn't be the way it is. Like you just resist the fact that it shouldn't be the way it is, but it is that way. And you're like, no, but I can't accept that this is how it is.
And the more you resist it, the more you ruminate on it, the more your energy field and your mind and quantum physics and all that shit is like literally putting it out there. Please give me more of this.
Literally. And it just got worse and worse. Like I'm going to say that. It just got worse and worse. So when I started to go, okay, I've got to pull this together. I've got to pull this around. I've got to commit to this. Like I've got to make this better. It's my life now. I have to, I'm responsible. Regardless of what my ex has done, like this is my life now. And trying to like get someone else to take account for it, it's not going to work. Like no one's coming to save me this time in a way. Like there were great people helping, but no one was coming to save me out of that. And good because it helped me grow into this person. And I think coming from the founder to the CEO is really a journey of becoming a woman.
I honestly I could not say it better myself. Like, I think the biggest thing I see is like, who's running your business, your little girl or the woman?
Literally.
Because 9 times it's a little girl. And I actually remember very similar when my company folded. I was midway through a divorce. And I remember calling my now ex-husband at the time, and I was out the back of my house on the grass, on my knees, like looking up to the sky, like scream crying, like what the fuck is even life? Throwing a spiritual awakening at the same time. It was a bit intense, but I literally called him and I was like, I can't do this. And he was like, what? And I'm like, I don't know, be here. So, and it was a very, like, I've rarely remember having suicide ideation, but it was so much. It was too much. I was like, I can't actually, and I think it's like the part of you, there's a few things. It's like sometimes you have to touch the depths of despair, almost the truth of what the other option is. Because it's like path A, I kill myself, and path B, I actually sort my shit out and get my life together.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I do think, I mean, if you've got depression or anxiety or anything and you're listening to this, you need professional help, please get professional help.
Mm-hmm.
But I think sometimes you have to touch it to know that actually isn't a choice, but you needed to feel the potential in it and almost like walk through. Because I was the same. I'm like, well, what the fuck is your son going to think? That you weren't strong enough to fight for him? Don't fight for you. Don't fight for your business. Just like be alive for your son. And then, the rebirth, I guess, and the regrowth of like, oh, okay, so how do I bring myself back? And to your point before, one of the most underrated things is building self-trust. And most of the times we don't do what we say we're going to do because we actually don't trust ourselves to do it.
Yeah.
So we're like, this podcast, for example, I told myself 2 years ago I was going to do it. And one day I woke up and I'm like, why am I just not doing it? Like what am I actually waiting for? And then I realized that I'd been compounding this lack of self-trust because I would tell myself that I was going to do it and then not do it. And so subconsciously over time I was eroding my own internal compass and my own internal self-trust. So your point to like little micro things, it could be getting up 10 minutes earlier. It could be having a carrot instead of a chocolate bar. It could be a 10-minute walk. And again, to this point, I want to say don't make big changes, make incremental changes. Because sometimes we're like, I want to lose 10 kilos. I'm going to start waking up at 6 a.m. to go to the gym.
6 days a week.
And you've never woken up, this is what I used to do. You've never woken up at 6 a.m. in your life, let alone to go to the gym. So you say, cool, I set my alarm for 6, you snooze on the alarm, you just broke your trust. And you do that ongoing and ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. And you just lose trust with yourself. So I think it's so important that people know that it doesn't need to be big and it's actually the micro moments that make up the macro.
It's all your small choices. I think that's what was such a like mind-blowing moment was like, oh, it's not in the big choices. It's actually in the little choices that I'm dismantling my trust. Like, oh, okay. And then it was like, oh, I'm going to start regulating myself because I realized the main reason I'm also in this is because I'm not regulated. I'm like completely dysregulated, completely dissociated. Like I'm just running off fumes. And I was like, so I started then after my walks, after I nailed that, I was like, I'm going to start meditating and breathing.
Yes.
Started doing breath work every day. Never done that before for a long time. Every day without fail, I was doing at least 10 minutes of breath work every day. Then I started visualizing on top of that every day. Then I actually got a therapist, thank God. I got a therapist and saw her like weekly.
Yes.
That started to help immensely. And so it's really interesting, but it's like, those little things you do, you don't see a big change initially. But I knew that in 6 months, if I kept doing that every day, I'd be a completely different person, which I was.
Truly.
Quick pause. Are these conversations resonating with you? Do you finally feel seen in your business journey? This is the entire mission of Unmasked Founders. To strip back the highlight reel and tell the raw truth about multi, 6 and 7-figure success. We're here for the emotional costs, the days you want to quit, and the breakthroughs that follow. And we can bring you these essential conversations thanks to the support of our incredible partners, Cacao Collective and the OE Agency. These are the businesses who empower founders to keep going, providing the systems and the professional polish you need when you're busy navigating the emotional storm. If you love what you're hearing, don't miss an episode. Hit that subscribe button right now and check out Cacao Collective and the OE agency in the show notes. Now, let's get back to it.
Yeah, so it really is about the micro moments. And I think even in business, it's like I talk about the 5 things I do every day to move momentum in my business. And one of those things is starting conversations. And I think if people assume, well, if I'm starting a conversation and I don't get a sale today, it's a failure. But if I start a conversation with one person today, in 6 months' time, they might be ready to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, in life, in breakdowns, in everything, in everything, in every aspect of your life, we assume that it needs to be big, huge, an hour of the gym or 50 customers, but it's the micro moments, the compound effect of one small thing every day.
Mm-hmm.
Start with 10 minutes, then go to 20 minutes, then go to 30 minutes. And that compound effect will actually give you the best results over the longest period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so underrated. And even in myself, I'm constantly in personal development and being in deeper relationship with myself through my business is the best self-development tool out there. Start a business if you want to learn who you are. I noticed a lot of this in my system still, in that, I've wanted to public speak for 3 years now. And because I haven't been booked on a big stage, I was like, well, maybe it's never going to happen. But I wasn't doing the little steps to get there, like a podcast, like small workshops. I wanted the big thing. And I actually wasn't willing to some degree to do the little things to get there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that you've brought that in. What is something that has shocked you? Like something that, if we think of the theme of being unmasked in life and business, and what's like the most, doesn't even need to be the hardest thing. Like what is something that you've learned about yourself or the industry or people that has been heartbreaking, like something that's like you didn't expect out of this journey?
Oh, I've got 2. Couldn't just have one.
We can go there. It's fun.
The first thing is I didn't expect people to be so supportive and kind in this journey, like whether it's contractors or just strangers or people. Like sometimes you don't know the kindness of people until you're in a tough spot and you have to ask and reach for help. I've been blown away by the support and kindness of people, strangers, people willing to just get on a call and chat things out, or like they want to see you win, they don't even know you. Like that's incredible. I think it surprised me. I don't think it should be surprising, but it definitely surprised me and really humbled me. The other thing that I thought was most surprising, which is kind of random because it's very niche to my business, which is obviously like it's very connected to agriculture and farming. I didn't realize, so I went to Peru recently this year in September to visit the main farm that we get our supply from. I've never visited that farm. I've always wanted to go. I got to visit it this year. One thing that shocked me the most is I didn't realize the impact that our business actually has on those farmers, and not just the farmers, but their entire agriculture system. They're trying to make immense changes in farming over there, which is about they want to be more regenerative and more sustainable in their approach because they're realizing it's not working long term. And so the main farmer that owns the farm we supply from, he's actually the head of agriculture for Peru.
Wow.
And he goes and consults to all the other farms and helps them become more sustainable. He goes, the thing is, we can't convince people to be more sustainable if there's nothing in it for them. So when they know that you're a big client and you're a business that's coming to buy from us because you want sustainability, it encourages the whole country to follow suit because we know we're going to get paid for it essentially, which is really strange because a lot of people I think in the Western world don't understand that. And so, in a lot of third world countries, that's how it works. They need to know they're going to get paid because that's their biggest need is like survival,
Truly.
Putting money on the table, putting a roof over their family's head, their community, like they need the money. They don't have a lot. So when you can be a business that actually supports this type of infrastructure for another country, that blew my mind because I was having doubts. I got to Peru and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I shouldn't be selling this. Like, who am I to sell this product in the Western world, like taking it from, from a third world country and I'm selling it and like commoditizing it in a way. And I felt weird about that in some ways. I've tried to be as like kosher and like respectful as I can and all of those things. And I've never tried to culturally appropriate, which is a lot of brands have culturally appropriate, which is terrible. When I got there and I spoke to the farmer and he was like, thank you so much. Like what you do has impacted us in so many ways. You're like one of our biggest customers. It's like, we're so grateful. I was like, oh, I didn't realize the impact this was having. And so then it made me think, I'm part of something so much bigger than I knew.
Yes.
I can't give up now. Like these farmers need me now, you know?
Truly. And I love this. And, you know, I've got the agency and we use Filipino workers. And one of the biggest things is we pay 25% generally above what's industry standard. And the impact that has, it generally means they can get nannies, they can, or their mums come live with them, their partners have to work less, you know, they support their whole families and whole ecosystems. And yeah, I think people sort of underestimate the impact. And you've got a whole supply chain, but even for like a solopreneur that has a Filipino VA, you're actually helping someone have a better life.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of Filipinos that are treated like shit because people just use them rather than have them integrate as a part of the business. And I always remind people, like, if you're a good person and you're a great boss and they're working for you, you're actually changing someone's life. So never underestimate the impact you're having on a greater scale outside of what it's doing for you and your family.
Yeah.
So I love that. What's the positive besides a $3 million business? What is like, what is the silver lining you're taking away from the whole experience and what are you grateful for?
For me, I realized that experience taught me how to grow my roots really deep. You can't grow a really big business off shaky ground or like shallow ground. Just like, you know, a tall tree, like it needs deep roots to grow.
I feel that deeply.
Yeah. So I had this feeling even when I was going through it, which was kind of weird, but it makes sense now that I was like, this is preparing me for a bigger business. I might not be able to see it right now, might be delusional.
You need a bit of delusion to have
You do.
business
I think
success.
delusion's been my key for success. But the hard times actually grow your capacity to just deal with things. Like it's a stretcher for you. I thought I couldn't handle it. I actually can. And that's what these seasons teach you is the things you think you can't handle, you grow to realize you can handle. And it's also like motherhood. You grow to realize you can hold accountability for a child and keep them alive and enjoy that process and still thrive and follow your dreams. You can do it. I think when you keep telling yourself you can't do it, you probably can't. But as soon as you realize like this is going to grow me, it's going to stretch me, it's going to be difficult, but I can handle this, you'll grow to meet it. And when you grow to meet it, then you're like, wow, I'm seasoned for more challenge, because if you want a big business, you're going to have to handle bigger challenges.
Truly.
People think like if I have a big multi-million dollars or $10 million business, like it's going to be easy because it's lots of money. No, more money is usually more fucking problems.
Truly.
And the bigger you get, the bigger the challenges. And so I think if you want a big business, you want a lot of success, you actually have to get kind of comfortable with going through these seasons.
Comfortable with discomfort is what I say.
1,000,000%, because it does expand your capacity to hold both good and bad. So I think had I not have gone through that, I wouldn't have been primed and prepped, and the business would have been primed and prepped to grow where we're growing and also to know how to grow further. Because I think there's one thing to just grow. It's another thing to grow profitably.
Yes.
Which I really learnt. And if you don't have the skill set or the growth in the journey, if you don't know what business is, like I didn't have a business degree, like I'm learning business as I go. You actually need you need these things. They grow you. They teach you so much. Again, like the good times aren't going to teach you about margins and like unit economics the way that a tough problem is going to teach you, because you're like, I need to make more profit. Like I'm not profitable. How do I do that? I need to understand things. So I do think there's a level of like now from being through it, I'm like, I embrace the challenges more. Doesn't mean I don't like I still find them tough. Like we've had some absolute doozies happen recently, some shocking like delays with stock, and they have enormous impacts on your business. But I think once you get through enough challenges, you start to realize this is the nature of business.
Truly.
Like you just accept, you're like, this is actually how business is. It's the same for everyone.
I want to celebrate you for your stock supply though as well, because it was very graceful to receive the email, because I obviously subscribe to Cacao Collective, and I'm like, if anyone's mad at this, it's a them problem, not a you problem. But yeah, I love that. Business will actually stretch your capacity to become a better leader.
Mm-hmm.
And to have a $3 million business, a $10 million business, it's going to ask different things of you because you will have a bigger supply chain. You will have more staff to lead. And you have to evolve with the business or it will not succeed. And I think, again, people will find a crunch point or a pain point or they can't deal with the pressure. And I think the discomfort in it, like where it stretches you, because it just will keep stretching and stretching and stretching your capacity. But those that can grow with it are the ones that have big business. It's, less than 2% of women in business actually hit 7 figures. So I'm celebrating you. You're in the top. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You're in the top 2%.
Thank you.
And I do believe it is because women give up easier. For whatever reason, maybe they're not as supported enough or I actually, as I'm like reflecting as I'm speaking, when I went through my voluntary administration, people did treat me different in that because I was a woman, where I was speaking to my lawyer, and my lawyer's great, love him. He was like, most men in business, when they go through this, it's actually a milestone and you're kind of patted on the back and you haven't really made it in business until you've had a voluntary administration. And he sort of gave me the perspective that there is certain circumstances where like the men are celebrated and the women aren't. And I do think, again, one of the reasons for this podcast is if we just had more of these conversations, if we normalized the failure, and I never actually call it failure, but if we normalized the failure and then allowed it to shape the lessons that we needed to become bigger and better business owners, then more women would hit 7 figures.
I agree.
Because if you're at like 6 or multi-6 and if you're at 6 or multi-6 and you hit a road bump and maybe you're in e-commerce and your supply chain fucks up, or maybe you are a service-based business and you lose your biggest client, or maybe you're a coach and you haven't mapped out your pipeline properly and then you were making 7 figures and now you're not. Like, if you stop in those moments and decide that it means that you're not good enough, go back and get a job or play a smaller game because it's safer to play a smaller game. And I think actually to the stretching part, it's like, well, this is uncomfortable. Maybe I should stop here. But if you lent into the discomfort more and had the conversations with your supply chain or with people that you've been putting off, that's where the growth happens. That's where the magic happens. That's where you evolve into the woman rather than the scared little girl that's running a company. And I do think as well, so many women fall into having high 6 and 7 figure companies sometimes. It's like one day I started a business, the next day I woke up and I had a successful business, but they haven't evolved with it. Their systems haven't evolved with it. Their teams haven't evolved with it. And it's like constantly feeling like you're trapped. That is also an indication of like, wow, you probably need to grow up inside of your business.
Yeah, I agree.
What were you thinking and feeling? So like if we were to go back a year ago, 18 months ago, what were some of the things you were thinking about yourself, about business at the time? Like if I kind of want to hit the mind of the woman that's like, oh, maybe this isn't relevant. So we can actually be like, no, we're talking to you. What were some of the things that were going through your mind?
Oh, I was just like, I'm not going to make it through this. It's all going to crumble down around me. Like, I'm not a good business owner. Like, that was a big one. I'm not good at business. Like, I think you've got to really, like you go to these almost hysterical places. Like, you make it mean so much. And I think sometimes maybe this could be offensive to some people. I'm going to say though, as a woman, we have a lot of emotion.
Yes.
And a lot of hormones.
And we're meant to, just quietly.
We're meant to. The problem with that sometimes, and maybe the reason we give up quicker, is because we let those emotions run everything without having some checkpoints where we go, hang on a second, is that really true? Okay, you're feeling that, but are we indulging in that a little bit?
Yes.
Because I'm sorry, but I have indulged in my emotional stuff. And I have like lapped up every little story I've given myself and been like, I'm not good at business and everything's going to fail. I said it so much, especially in that time. I just kept saying it. And like, that's not good for anyone, especially not myself. It's not good for the business either. But I think you have to get to a point where you learn you need to take control of your emotions. You need to learn to regulate. You need to learn to regulate. You need to learn to take control of your thoughts.
Yes.
I mean, you go through all of this and like you learn about mindset and all of that, but it's when you go through the hard moments, that's where you need it most, and usually where you don't use it and you don't realize you're doing it and you just like the biggest thing that I realized is like, you need to get a grip. Like you actually need to stop dramatizing because that's what you do.
Like spiraling.
You spiral, then you feed off it, then you
Yeah.
go further and you start to like tell yourself a bunch of like outrageous stories that you start believing, and then you feed into that more with more emotion and it just becomes this huge like tsunami. And I think as women, we need to get good at not dramatizing every problem.
Truly.
And not getting wrapped up and lost in the emotion of every problem. Have your outbursts, have your day in the sheets where you just cry, rock yourself to sleep, whatever you need to do. But like you're going to have to find ways to like pull yourself out of that, especially if you're a founder. Like find people to talk to, find a mentor, like someone you can have as a voice of reason. Because like otherwise you're actually screwed.
Truly. And I love this because I still feel it. I'm 15 years in now almost, and 2 8-figure companies and 7-figure companies. Literally the other week I had a moment where I was like, can I keep doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And rather than loop, I give myself 24 hours. So I cancelled all my appointments. I didn't change out of my P days. I cried all day and let myself have a pity party.
Yeah.
And the next morning I was like, right, that was fun. Let's go though.
Yeah.
We don't you can't dwell in this.
No.
You cannot feed to the part of you that's trying to prove an old story or an old narrative or play into victimhood or it's like, there's so much against us already. We shouldn't be against ourselves, and we really need to rein in that voice, which often is the scared little girl. And actually, one, give it space to feel. I'm not telling anyone to bottle up emotions that will come out sideways.
Yeah.
But don't let it run the show. Don't let it – it's like you kind of have a window of true emotion versus spiraling on something. It is actually only 30 seconds for true emotion, but if you want to be in a little pity party, give yourself 24 hours, feel your feelings, eat the chocolate, tell your partner you're going to get a job, wake up the next morning, realize you were actually just psycho, probably premenstrual, and
usually day 29.
which I'm on. And last night my partner was like, you're like 4 days out, hey. And I'm like, I love that you know me this well, and I hate that you can clock it based on my moods.
He's like, I'm sensing day 29 vibes.
But it's true. We're cyclical. And the more that we stop like pretending that we're not or avoiding those conversations, we're not going to know how to be in relationship with ourselves. It's like we need to know ourselves so we can know how to be in relationship with ourselves, so we can find where we thrive. Like maybe don't book meetings on the week that you're bleeding.
Literally.
Not where I thought this conversation was going to go, but it's so true.
Yeah.
We need to understand that we don't do business like men. We're not meant to do business like men. And when we work with our cycles and our emotions, things are way less complicated.
Like, have your hard conversations when you're ovulating, obviously.
Obviously.
Estrogen is very high and very
You've
forceful.
got a lot more. So, I love that you brought that in because, I mean, I don't like advertise it, but I know it's like I'm in deep enough relationship with myself that I can clock when I'm going to get tired, when I don't want to be around people, when I can't I'm not as resilient because my emotions are like, we're going to cry if someone says no to us, let alone have a difficult conversation. So I love that you brought that in. I would love to leave everyone with one thing you wish they knew about you as a woman in business, as an entrepreneur, as a woman that's come through the fire really to rebirth her business. What's one thing you want people to know?
Oh, Lezly, you really put me on the spot. What's one thing I want people to know? I think one thing I want someone to know is that I think in business you're always going to have doubts. And one thing I want you to know is that I still have doubts. There are still weeks where I go, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't actually like it anymore. Like I think you have to start normalizing that, and I've started to normalize that for myself. Like I'm slowly learning that every problem isn't a moment to decide to quit. It's just a problem. And like, there are days where I go, I don't want to do this anymore. I think every month I go through a phase where I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to shut it down.
Probably pre-bleed.
Yeah, probably. There are days
tracking it.
There are days where I go, and like this is the most vulnerable share, is like there are days where I still go, am I making the right sacrifice? For the time I have to be with my daughter, I'm sacrificing time to do this business.
Yes.
Am I making the most of that sacrifice?
Yes.
I question. That's something that's always on my heart. I'm always questioning, like, how am I using my time, and am I making this, am I making the most of the time that I'm sacrificing with her?
Oof.
That's the biggest one I'm always like considering.
I want to touch on this really quickly because I'm a mum and it's one of the biggest questions I get asked. I thought we were going to wrap up, but I'm just going to end on this actually. I think there's a few things like choose your hard, because it's hard to leave your child. But honestly, some of the conversations I have with mums that had kids early and they're in their 40s or 50s and they talk about how much they wasted their life has something that's really stuck with me as I became a mother. I don't think there's always like a perfect answer or the right answer. You just got to go with what feels true at the time. But for me, it was such a decision of I never want to resent my son for the years of my life I can't get back.
Wow.
And I felt that so much just before my son in like speaking to like a lot of mums and especially in corporate that gave up their career, came back into the workforce and like, well, my ungrateful child, because they've built a subconscious resentment towards them.
Yeah.
Because the child's not fucking asking you to
They
sacrifice.
didn't choose it.
They literally. So one, take ownership. They hadn't done the work, but still I hear it so much that I was like, wow, I really have to find the balance between putting me before I was Lezly before I was Lincoln's mum. And when I had my son, and especially through the separation, I had to anchor to that because whilst I could have chosen him 100% and made that sacrifice, I'd done enough healing to know that subconsciously it would come out sideways in our relationship because I was being a martyr. Because my truth wasn't to be a mum 100% of the time. It's probably 60-40. And sometimes the 60% is me and 40% him. And in the seasons where it is that's okay because his dad is a great dad. His grandparents love him. But I made this comment on, I was actually hosting for another coaching program the other day and someone asked this question. And I was like, if I didn't have the baby daddy that I have and he's great, we're good friends, I would find a way. I would get a friend. I would pay a nanny. I would get an au pair. I wouldn't rest in and actually I wanted to comment on your Peru post because I wanted to celebrate you for going away and leaving your daughter because society oftentimes tells us that that's not okay. And I've seen the flip side of that where it's like you don't have the business, you don't put yourself first, and you do subconsciously start to resent your children because you lose you. And the mums that have like midlife crises or go through menopause and come out at 50 and they are divorced and their kids have left and they're like, well, who am I now and what am I going to do with my life? And I think in my view of the world, in my lens, it's always this and not this or.
I agree.
So, I love that you brought that in.
I just think that everyone has their own version of like what a successful parent is, what a successful mother is. And I just realized my version of doing motherhood is different to someone else's. It's just different. And I'm okay with that now. And it's still something I like wrestle with at times where I'm like, am I doing the right thing dropping her off today at daycare? But also what's the alternative? And my mum said this to me because she was a single mum as well. And she said, what, you're going to like quit your business? And then what are you going to do? You probably have to get a job. And I was like, yeah. She's like, what are you going to do for work? Are you going to enjoy it? And then you're going to be shitty because you don't like your job and you're going to be building someone else's dream. She goes, that'll still be hard. It'll just be different. She's like, so do you really want to quit your business? I was like, absolutely not. Now you put it like that.
Literally.
I'm so grateful for my business. And she was like, you should be grateful. She's like, you built something before you had a baby and it supports you.
Truly.
She goes, yeah, you don't have as much time with your daughter that other mothers might have. Like we're all going to be able to, we all can compare ourselves to some scenario that we don't have. Like,
truly.
You know, I fell pregnant really easy. Some people can't fall pregnant very easily. That's their challenge. You know, I've got an amazing baby that sleeps, but I went through the most horrific separation and like birth. So it's like we've all got versions of a hard. But you're right. It's about what do you want to choose as your hard and can you own that? Because, I guess at the end of the day, it's like, what's my alternative?
Literally. And can you find what's true for you and stop listening to everyone else? And can you allow your truth to change? Because right now I'm like, my son's pretty sweet. I can go away for 3 weeks. It's fine. Next season he might need more of me and that's okay.
And your kids want to see you do, like they watch what you do.
Truly.
They're going to watch you build something like, show them that it's possible you can build dreams.
Honestly, I think the worst scenario, in my opinion, is working a 9 to 5, having both parents work a 9 to 5, not being able to travel the world because you can only take 4 weeks of holidays and most companies won't let you take it all at once. So, I think there's so many different angles we could go down where it's like no one's right, but I would rather be an entrepreneur and have the power to be in control of the narrative versus give that narrative to someone else. I have absolutely loved this conversation.
Thank you.
It's been such a pleasure getting you on. Like I said, proud mum, like seeing from where we first started to where you are and what's happening now. So I'd love for you to share what is birthing through you at the moment. What's the evolution? I don't know how much we're sharing. I assume everything because it's on social media. But yeah, I think adversity makes great leaders and adversity makes great mentors, because if I hadn't have failed, I couldn't have given you the reassurance that you weren't going to die.
Yep.
So in
100%.
Literally, I'm like, trust me, I'm
Thank
alive.
God you almost died because I needed that.
You're welcome. I would love to stop learning my lessons the hard way, please, God, but sometimes my clients need it. Tell me, what's the evolution?
So obviously outside of Cacao Collective, which has still got new products coming and we're expanding into another country, I've started my own business consulting called Business Growth Lab, which is really where I'm focusing on like startup businesses and new business owners, just to help them through that initial phase and understand like the fundamentals of business and actually how to grow and how to be successful. Because I think, it's one thing to be a 6-figure business. It's a totally other thing to be a 7-figure business. And I have to say, I just got so annoyed at one point. I was like, there's so many people saying, excuse my language, bullshit online and telling new business owners to do too early and just run ads and put heaps of money in. The amount of people I'm talking to at the moment who have sunk like almost $10,000 on ads and they're 7 weeks into their business frightens me. And they were told that advice.
By
I was
someone
like,
that wanted to sell them the
I can't
ads.
stand for it. I must now be a consultant because I have to fight them, you know? So
Truly. It's why I became a coach.
Exactly. I was like, I can't have this happen. People need to know. So yeah.
I love that. And I honestly, so good because you have so much wisdom to share. Thank you so much for your time and your presence
Lezly.
today.
Appreciate you.
Oh, you too.
Thank you for listening to Unmasked Founders with me, Lezly Kaye. Follow Lezly Kaye on social media for more insights, and we'll see you in the next episode. You can find me at Lezly with a Z, Kaye. Check the show notes for how to spell my name. Remember, true success is built from the inside out.